Hey parents, welcome to the Mommy Pod, where we keep it real about parenthood. The joy, the chaos, and everything in between. I'm your host, a single mom, educator, and everyday woman learning to give herself grace while chasing her dreams. Whether you're folding laundry, stuck in traffic, or sneaking in 5 minutes of peace, this space is your reminder that you're not alone. And you're doing better than you think. So, grab a coffee, grab a tea, grab a drink, take a deep breath, and let's get into today's episode. Hey parents, welcome back to the Mommy Pod, where we keep it real about parenthood, the joy, the chaos, the healing, and everything in between. Today's guest is Mark, a father of 3 young children who has operated his cleaning business completely remotely for the past 4 years. He now helps other parents who run cleaning businesses create more time, freedom, and profit without allowing their businesses to consume their families. Mark is also an under 6 soccer coach, a juggler, an ideas man, an occasional business therapist, and a very serious certified dad joke practitioner. In this episode, we're talking about presence in the home, supporting the people we love, balancing business with young children, recognizing postpartum mental health struggles, and creating simple family rituals that help our children feel safe and connected. While Mark is raising his children within a marriage, I want this conversation to speak directly to every parent, including those of us who are doing it alone or mostly alone, because creating meaningful memories isn't about having a perfect family structure. It's about making the moments we do have matter. Welcome to the Mommy Pod, Mark.
Hey, welcome. Thanks very much for the intro.
Yeah. So you describe yourself as an ideas man, a dad, emotional support animal. What? Sometimes a business therapist. Who is Mark underneath all of those unofficial titles?
Yeah, well, I think the unofficial titles do a lot of the work, especially the less serious ones, because I think that cuts to the core of it, right? So, the dad joke practitioner probably trumps the list, really. Um, but I'm just a guy try to do do
Yeah.
some stuff and be emotionally present and all of that in the family, and sometimes that just creates its own titles along with it.
That's great. You run your cleaning business remotely while raising your 3 young children. What did life look like before you created that flexibility for yourself?
Yeah, okay, great question, because directly before um, we reached that level of flexibility was one of the most difficult seasons in our life and marriage. Um, and this was a goal that we'd had the whole time, to build the business in such a way that we could step away from it and have that geographic freedom. Um, but in pursuit of that, there was a season just after my second child was born. So my wife had postpartum depression after the birth of our daughter. Um, but what was especially difficult about that was that neither of us noticed at the time, which sounds kind of silly and crazy. And that's why I bring it up, is because I would not have thought that I would be able to just not notice that.
Living with ADHD means cleaning and organizing can feel impossible, but it doesn't have to. My book, Living with ADHD Cleaning and Organizing, is built for real life with step by step systems, ADHD friendly routines, and realistic hacks. It helps you create calm in your space without the overwhelm. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Whether you're a busy mom, busy parent, student, or professional, this book will help you reset your home and your mind.
The shift towards after, it just forced us to make some changes to how we were showing up in our life and our business because now, anytime that there was a problem in the business, we had to get really creative with how we would solve it because it did not make logistical sense for me to just jump back in and fix the thing straight away because that would involve either a lot of driving or a plane ticket and all of those things. So it just like put a higher barrier between us and those problems to think, okay, is this a problem that demands us personally to solve it, or can we get creative and find a way to solve it without jumping in there personally? So yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's so hard. And that's a conversation that so many people need to have. Postpartum depression, a conversation around that. And I think it's becoming um more clear that women need support and help in that. And it's really great that you were able to notice that and give her what she needed emotionally, because some guys don't. They just take it
Well,
eventually and then they get mad and then there's fights that occur. Not to say that that didn't happen, but
I mean, just to my point, like I didn't notice it at the time. I wasn't, and it wasn't for a sake of like, um, you know, I wouldn't have cared.
yeah.
But I didn't notice it, and I think that's the really scary part about it, and just in terms of bringing awareness to the topic.
We're going to talk more about that and that season of your life later on in the episode. But I want to go back to um, so your cleaning business.
Mhm.
And then what were you doing before you started your cleaning business?
Not a lot. um, I've actually never had a real job in the sense that I've never been employed by someone else. So I picked up some odd jobs when I was young. I would work along with my dad doing whatever jobs he was doing. He was largely self-employed whilst I was growing up in a few different things, and then I picked up some odd jobs when I was coming out of high school, doing bits and pieces of this and that. And I was planning on getting into um, becoming an electrician and
Mhm.
going down that path. And along the way, um, I was kind of in this limbo stage whilst I was finishing high school, and I went to do some work with my dad, who at that point had now been doing window cleaning for a little while.
Mhm.
Um, and he very much kind of like owned his own job, in that it wasn't a business in the sense that there were no employees. There was not things were not structured in a really formalized way and all of that kind of thing. But so I was just gonna like go and work along with him for a little while, and then I was like, actually, this is pretty good. I could get on board this. I'm enjoying this, and so I kind of just started doing that, and then later, at the point where my wife and I were going to get married, it happened to work out that my parents were going. They wanted to like retire and move away from my hometown, and so we kind of just stepped into that role, and that gave us a really, really helpful springboard of having a baseline amount of work to cover expenses and something that we could grow from there.
That's great. That's really great. Thank you for answering that. And what pushed you to change the way that you were operating your business before?
Yeah, it was podcasts and books and that sort of thing. I had this idea of it would be great if we could build something that that served us as a family and that allowed us to do the things that we wanted to do. And a big part of that, pardon me, a big part of that, as I mentioned, was that geographic freedom that really appealed to us of having the ability to um, move and live and travel independently of where our business was.
Mm-hmm.
And um, so that was like this desire, but I had no idea what I was doing at all. Like when I started trying to figure these things out and put the pieces together, um, I didn't know what I didn't know, and so it was really, really basic stuff of just business terminology that I was just not familiar with.
Yeah.
So then at that point, I reached out and got some help and support from like some of the books I've been reading and podcasts I've been listening to. I went into some like mentorship and coaching programs, and that was really the turning point because it was just getting that really distilled clarity and guidance on, okay, this is exactly the situation of where we are, this is where we want to be, how, what are the steps in between, how do we bridge that gap?
Hmm,
So that made the shift.
great. And let's talk about presence over perfection. What does being truly present at home mean to you?
Yeah, great question. I think it's the expression I like. I don't know who first said this, but it's ensuring that my head is where my feet are. And it's really easy to not do that. We live in a very loud world, and especially if you're trying to juggle, parenthood with a business or with, I mean, it doesn't even have to be that. Obviously, work has its own stresses. You can have, um, you know, aging parents and the stresses that come along with that, and all these other things that you might have on your plate. It's really easy to allow your head to be not where your feet are. And so yeah, I definitely think the way you phrase that as presence over perfection is really good because it's never really perfect. Um, but one of the things that I think helps with that is just trying to get to the kids' level and appreciate and see the world a little bit through their eyes. I heard another great quote a while ago, which was that the challenge with kids is not coming down to their level intellectually. It's rising up to their level emotionally, and I think that's so cool because they have such a zest for life. They are so enthusiastic about what we would consider every little thing, but they sort of demand that presence from us, and it can help us to sort of snap out of it a little bit and just be with them in that moment because they are not worried about groceries and taxes and all of the things. They are innocent of all of that, and so when they come to you with a picture that they've drawn or a thing that they want to do, it's it's an invitation, it's an opportunity, it's a gift to us really to be able to try and come up to their level emotionally and bring that presence. And obviously that's a struggle because the reality is we can't always do that. But a question I like to ask myself in the back of my head is, in what way is the thing that I would be doing actually more important than the thing that they want to do? And sometimes on the surface it seems like this self-evident. It's like, oh yeah, like it's taxes, it's so important, or whatever it is. But in reality, it's like, well, what's that for? Why are we working? Why are we? Who are the groceries for? Why are we cooking dinner? It's all centered around what we're trying to do for our family and for our kids. And so in that moment, maybe spending 5 minutes to draw with them or whatever it is the thing. So yeah, that's how I try and bring a little bit of awareness to it.
Great. I like that. See it through the kids' eyes. That's important because they are so full of wonder and joy, and it's easy as an adult to not have that wonder and joy.
Yeah, and
So,
that's why it's a gift, right? Because we get that opportunity to kind of relive that wonder and joy through their eyes. And I think like more generally, that's one of the most exciting parts of parenthood is like sharing. Like you get to be the tour guide for the world to them, and it's like it might just be like a random bird to us, but
mhm,
it's the first time that they've ever seen this particular type of bird. And even though it's kind of plain, it's just like, well, I've literally never seen that before.
mhm.
So they're just full of wonder all the time, and it's an invitation to us to bring a little bit of that back.
Right. And I like be where you have your head where your feet are planted, or have your head where your feet are.
Mm,
um my one of our leaders at work said that in a retreat last year, and that stuck out to me. um I think as a busy single mom, it's hard to be where my feet are. because my head is all over the place.
Mm,
But it is important to take those moments to enjoy being with the kids and enjoy what they enjoy doing. Um, Another thing that I do is bring them into whatever I have to do. So if I have to
mm,
do laundry, let's do laundry together. If I have to cook, let's cook together. So I think it is important to just to do things together and try to
yeah.
help them uh see it through. They don't have to see it through your eyes, but kind of understand that.
What I find is really like interesting and cute around that sort of stuff is that they're if we put it on a graph, like their eagerness to help versus their competency to help, it's
Mhm.
like inverse. Like the younger they are, the more they're just like, yes, let me help you cook, let me help you with the laundry, let me like, oh yeah, I can chop this or stir this or
Yeah.
whatever. And it's like, oh my goodness, like do you have to crack the eggs? And
Right.
then as they learn it, they're like slowly. I mean, I guess
Mhm.
this is more like maybe later into approaching the teenage years. They're maybe less eager to do some of those things than they are when they're really young. But it's like actually, you could be really helpful right now.
Yeah.
So it's like on the one hand, we might have that thought of it'd be so much easier if I just do it. But again, on the other hand, it's like
Mhm.
this is yeah, like you said, it's that bringing them into our world instead. That's a way that we can be together whilst doing some of that necessary stuff, which sort of threads that needle as well.
Yeah. And then how do you transition from dad mode to business mode?
Yeah, it's again, it's a very like imperfect struggle. It's just this sort of constant like, all right, try and try and bring awareness to it. Um, I think one of the things that really helps with this is boundaries and time management. If I have things done ahead of time, then I'm going to feel less stressed. I'm going to feel more available. I like to get some work done early in the mornings when the kids are asleep because it's kind of like free time in the sense that not only are they not likely to interrupt me unless they happen to wake up super early, but also um, it's not time I'm taking away from being with them in any sense because it was just like they were going to sleep through that anyway. And so if I'm able to get a few things done and out of the way there, that can then reduce a bit of stress later. I think another one is phone management, having a cupboard or a drawer or wherever that the phone can go. I'm not especially good with that one, and I would like to be better. But just again, it's just trying to bring some awareness to it. And one of the things I've noticed with that for me is my relationship with my phone is not what I would like it to be for my kids. Like if it was them with their phone, I'd be like, oh, come on, like, put it down, um, get off the screen, all that sort of stuff. And so it's hard to kind of have a realization like that and think, all right, maybe this is something that I'm using as a bit of a crutch or whatever in an unhealthy way. And I feel like I have to be connected to every notification and whatever at the time, which another way to help with that is to have, I have most of the notifications off. I only have notifications on for things that I really, quote unquote need. Um, but yeah, just, committing to putting it away whenever possible. And that helps hugely with having your head where your feet are because um, the noise of life, the background buzzing of the phone, all of that kind of thing is a really great way to take your head away from where your feet are because you're wondering, okay, what's that notification? And really, whatever it is, it's not here. It's from something somewhere else. It's from another person. It's news from across the world, whatever it is. But it's not here and now with my kids. Like they're not the ones texting me. So, yeah,
Nice. Put it away. Find a drawer. Or like you're
yeah.
passionate about intentionally creating a family culture. What does family culture mean to you? Have you ever wondered why certain routines, workouts, schedules, or productivity types just seem to work for everyone else, but they leave you exhausted? That's where the Integrated Living Human Design Program comes in. This program helps you understand how your energy naturally works, how you make decisions when you're most productive, and how to build routines that actually fit your life. And although it was created through the Mommy Pod community, this program is not just for moms. It's for moms, dads, single parents, co parents, caregivers, and anyone that feels like they're constantly trying to keep up with a life that wasn't designed around them. Inside this program, we explore human design, energy management, movement, nutrition, daily routines, and practical ways to reduce burnout and create more balance. Because being a good parent shouldn't require completely losing yourself. You don't need another routine telling you to wake up earlier or work harder. You need to understand when and how your body works best. Ready to stop forcing and start aligning? Explore the integrated living human design program from the Mommy Pod and start building a life that works with you, not against you. The Mommy Pod, because we bend, but we do not break.
Yeah, I think family culture is one of those terms that I think can sound a bit like, I don't know, like it sounds so abstract in some ways, but the way I'd like to think of it is everyone has a family culture. It's not something that you invent. It's already there, and um, maybe it's just in the things that you prioritize, like where the time goes, where does the money go, where does the energy and the attention go, what things are rewarded, what are the things that are always said. And so that doesn't have to be a positive culture. Like that could be like, just an example of what are the things that are always said. If we have a habit of saying, "Oh, why does this always happen to me?" Right? That's a mindset that we're going to be instilling in our kids as well. And so they're going to grow up with our family culture, whether we like it or not, whether it's positive or not, whether there's bits of positive and negative in it, which there will be. It's already there. So it's less about like creating a family culture as it is about just being intentional about cultivating a family culture. That's how I would sort of think of it. Um, and so for us, we have a couple of little things that we do. My wife, a little while ago, heard on another podcast, I think this was the Life Uncut podcast that she heard them talking about this, was the game of I think we're a lucky family because, and that's a really good like dinner time conversation. We have that conversation most days, and it's just a really good way to invite the kids to share a bit about their day and to be appreciative and grateful for things because it gets the creative juices flowing of like, well, why do I think that we're a lucky family? And um, it's really beautiful to hear and see like the things that they come up with and share and the fun that they have with it and sometimes like our 2-year-old for the longest time her answer to that question has been doggy even before we had told the kids that we were getting a dog. She just like was like we're a lucky family because of doggy and I'm like does she know something? How does she know? And then we were like secretly in the background, like waiting to collect a puppy, Um, and so then that really like got embedded as a thing. But like the kids would always find that hilarious. They're like, "Oh, here she goes. She's gonna say the line." So that's a really good one. Another one that we were doing this every day, but now it's just sort of like a an every now and then thing. Which I say that to say some of the things that we might consider daily, they they come and go, and they're not always like 100% consistent. But just bringing some attention and intentionality to it, it's like doing it sometimes is fine. And our kids know this like little ritual that we have. Like when I do it, I get like a candle, and I make like a herbal tea, and I write a note for
Uh,
each member of the family,
Hold
and
on, I'm
it's just
sorry. Pause,
yeah, right.
please. You're
Yes.
going into the next question, which is your
Sorry,
favorite. No,
sorry.
no, no, no. I that's so I'm so interested in your family rite of passage ritual. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, actually, that's not even this. That's like another thing. The tea thing is just like a little like tea ceremony thing that we do. But yeah, we can jump to that if you prefer.
No, no, no. So you have different, would you call them rituals or?
Yeah, different like so I think again like rituals I would say is kind of like culture. Like we all have that whether we call it that or not. We might call it
Yeah.
routines or habits or anything else, but for our kids, they have no idea what's going on. Like they come as like this blank slate, and then they're like, oh, okay, so we like eat the food and then we get wiped afterwards or we wash our hands, right? Like that's like a ritual or a routine, and the way that even that happens in a family is going to be different because maybe it's like the just the layout of the house or the kind of food that you eat or whatever that like impacts even those little tiny things that
Or they don't
is
wash their hands as much at mom's house than they do at
yeah, like well, it's like we've done this every meal since you've been born, and yet you still try and run away from the table and like touch all the walls. Like it's like how many times do I have to tell you? Apparently, I don't know, more. Whatever it is, it's more than this. Um,
So
so
I'm sorry to
yeah,
cut you off. So the tea.
okay. So we'll spill the tea. Let's spill the
Okay.
tea. The tea ceremony. I like to think of this as an invitation, and that's a framing that has helped me a lot with this kind of stuff because it would be really easy to do something like this and to have it just flop and the kids not be interested in it at all. But if you go into it yourself with the intention of I'm going to do a thing and it's an invitation for the kids to join me, then we're not going to sort of make them do it. We're not going to feel like it's a failed venture if they don't join on. But this happens to be one that the kids love. So I light a candle, make a pot of herbal tea, and then I write a little note for each member of the family. And it's just like a positive
Oh,
observation about them. Like it might be, you are very creative, or you are. So sometimes it's actually speaking life into things that I would like to see more of, but instead of saying like, you're not very courageous, I might say like, you are courageous, and then we can have a conversation around what that means. But like they will believe what they're told about themselves,
yes.
and so I think it's important to when we see those elements of maybe this is something that this particular child seems to be struggling with. Maybe it would be helpful for them to have this belief about them, so that when they face whatever that struggle is, they can think, no, like I am um, I am courageous, or I can be kind here in this situation, even if that requires courage or whatever it might be, right?
Mhm.
So we sit down, we do this on the floor just for it to be different. We sit down and we have our little tea and we read our notes, and then the kids take turns between lighting the candle and blowing it out, and it's just a little extra connection point and a point of intentionality. And again, we were in a routine for a while where we were doing that every day, and now it's not really what I would say like often enough, but it might be like once a month or twice a month or something. And if I go too long without doing it, the kids will be like, hey, hang on a second. When are we having a tea ceremony? So they start to miss it, which helps, and yeah, then it
Yeah,
becomes a part of the fabric of the family.
that's so cool. I love that. I'm gonna try that when my kids come back home. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll
I mean,
do Friday
there's
night.
a drink and a candle. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, maybe we'll pick a sleepy time tea and we'll do it at
Yes.
night.
Yeah, yeah.
Fair way to
Well,
call
I
it.
mean, having said that though, it's pretty exciting. Like it's an exciting new thing you're introducing. I'm just saying, especially the first time you do it. I don't know if this is a good bedtime routine introduction because it's like, whoa, there's fire. Cool.
They like fire. They like to blow it out. They can't. I cannot light candles around them
Yeah.
because they will not last long. They just want to blow it out, and I'm just like, can't we just smell it first?
Yeah, but I mean, hey, at least in this, it's like, well, this is a candle for them, so it's
Yeah.
like, well, maybe we can blow it out 5 times, and that's just like what we're doing. The other thing, someone told me this, and this has always stuck with me. I can't remember where I heard this. I like to give credit for great ideas, and I can't remember where this one came from, but it's just the power of paper.
Mhm.
So that like giving them the note, like even when they can't read, they take it more seriously. Words that we say, they take it more seriously when they're written down,
Yeah.
which is fascinating and weird. And I don't know why, but it's like that. It's 100% true that they do. They take it really seriously. The fact that this is written on a piece of paper, even though they have no context for what that really means.
Mhm.
Um, so it just gives that extra tangible element, and yeah, it helps them to connect to each other as well as they're like having to sit and listen to okay, like what does her note say and all that sort of stuff.
That's so special. So tell us about your family's rite of passage ritual and
All
how did
right.
that idea begin?
Okay, so this idea began. I bought so one of my business mentors, Joshua Latimer, their family, they were very strong on like family culture and intentionality and all of this sort of stuff. And they developed a what they called the Kid War Plan Journal, and it's like a kind of a self-guided educational slash self-development journal aimed at kids probably around the ages of like we could say give or take 10, like maybe a bit older. It really depends where the kid is at, to be honest. That's one of the struggles that I had with this when I was looking at it, is like I don't know what age, but that age actually kind of informed this rite of passage thing, because I got it, and it's this like leather bound. It looks like a book that's just come out of like a Lord of the Rings style movie, right? It's just a very um, kind of epic looking book. It has like rough edged pages. It's designed to look old, and um, so I got I got four of these books at the point when we only had two kids, because future planning, and it was I'm in Australia, and this was shipping from the US, so I was like, well, I'm going to make this worth it. I'm going to get four at a time anyway. And so then I was like looking at these things, and I was like, oh, they look really cool, and I was thinking about the ages where I would give these to our kids, what that would look like, and how I would want to present it to them, because I don't want to. It's like, well, this looks really cool. I don't want to just be like on a random Wednesday. Oh, here you go, have a have a journal, right? Um, and so, to me, it's really like that first introduction of quote unquote self development, or that sort of it's opening up a new level of agency and awareness and introspection to them at whatever point that they get it. So, I was thinking, okay, how can I make this just a really epic thing? And I went down a rabbit hole. This is why that title of Ideas Man. I get a bit crazy sometimes, but this I think is one of the coolest things I've ever come up with. And just before I tell you the details of it, what I would like to share on this is that you can do any version of this, whatever makes sense to you. It's just a little bit of forethought and planning and intentionality. It doesn't have to be the craziness that I'm about to lay out here. But what I have done is on our kid's fifth birthday. So I've only done this one time so far because our oldest is 6. Next trip is going to be January for this, but I take them camping, just one on one, just me and them, and we get a treasure box. We put a bunch of other little things in it, including like I write some like letters to their future self, and just some like sort of trinkets from their childhood as kind of like a time capsule, and that goes in there along with this book. And then we dig a hole and we bury it, and we leave it there for 5 years. Um, so that we're in step 2 now. We're waiting.
Oh,
Step 3 is going to be like when they're 10, we're going to be like doing a random thing. The way I envision this is we're like at we're at the beach looking at some rock pools or something, and then we discover a message in a bottle. And the message in a bottle leads to a scavenger hunt, which leads to a map, which leads back to the treasure. So then we go on this trip, because it's like not at our house, it's like we were camping. Then we go on a trip, because obviously this is not at our home, we were camping, and we take this journey through the forest, this vaguely, I'm hoping vaguely familiar to them journey, of like that sense of deja vu, of like they might remember bits of this from when they were 5, like, hey, have I been here before? And then we unearth this thing, and it's just like that's like the most epic way I could think to put those pieces together and like to introduce this concept. And it's become so much more than about the book. It's now about all these other bits and pieces that go in tandem with that. And so then my plan is to basically redo that every like 5 years. So like we get it on a 5 year sort of time capsule cycle until they're 20. So we dig this thing up. Then we're going to put some other new things in it, some new letters to the future, at which point they'll be able to participate a little bit more in that than when they were 5, or it'll have a more clear meaning to them as each of these iterations progresses. And we'll rebury it. And so it'll just be this like kind of cadence of a specific intentional event that is tying their childhood together into their adulthood, right? Like this is the thing that we did for the first 20 years of your life, and it was like a specific thing that happened together. And again, just to bow tie that onto like someone listening to this and feeling a little bit of inspiration, just find a way to do something intentional. And it doesn't matter if your kid's 30 at this point. We can bring intentionality to family events in a way that just makes them that little extra bit special. Like just bringing that intentionality into what we're doing for the family Christmas or whatever it is. Um, and yeah, this is just what I've taken from that to put into the plan for our kids' childhood. And I actually find it's easier for me now to bring that level of intentionality by just pre-deciding, like, hey, this is a thing that we're going to do.
Hmm.
So like I've only done steps one and two of this with one out of our three current children, um, but it's as good as done for the whole succession of them because it's like no, this is what we do now.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I love that. That's great. And it's like practical, and I feel like your ideas are not like astronomical. They're affordable things that we could all do to like implement some more connection in our lives with our kids. That's so special and
yeah, yeah.
magic.
I'm just
They like
smiling as you say practical because I do have to say this. I underestimated what was going to be involved in the burial process of this treasure box, especially because when I started actually thinking of the logistics to do that, I was like, how am I going to keep water out of this thing? So yeah, I've made it sound a little bit more romantic
I
there, but
think
in
no, I think that I was being generous by saying practical because I think that you do might maybe take it to an extreme that others
yeah,
may not. Like that's amazing. The burial,
yeah, that's I
all
don't
the
mind being a bit crazy.
it's so great. It is so magical. Like who needs Disneyland? You're making magic over there.
That's it. That's it.
About earlier with supporting your partner through postpartum depression. Excuse me. You said that she assumed life was simply this is how hard it is now. And so looking back, what signs do you wish you had recognized? I know you said it was hard
Mm,
to
yeah.
recognize, but
Yeah, I think, but my wife was really sleep deprived, and it's probably easy to think not fully in your right mind. You think, oh, maybe this is just how hard it is. This is just the season of life. This is what it's like. We've got two kids now. I'm not really sleeping. On my side, I was really involved with our oldest when he was a baby, and I would get up like when he would cry in the night. I would get up straight away and I would like do the things. When when our first daughter came along, she did not want a bar of me overnight. It was only mum, 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 mum all the time, and so. If I got up to try and do something in the night for her to settle her or to change a nappy or anything like that, um, she would just scream louder. Like she only wanted mum. So over time and a fairly quick time, my body just learnt to not wake up when she would cry because I wasn't needed, right? I wasn't making anything better. And so that just meant like the full burden of that shifted to my wife. And meanwhile, to your question, I was trying to dot the last of the I's and cross the last of the T's to prepare us for this move that we'd already committed to make of, okay, this is it. We've got things in place. Like mostly we'd signed a lease 10 hours away from our service area. We're like, okay, we've got to get this lined up so that we can move by this date. And so I was just really focused on the business and it was just not the right season of our life for that. We didn't know that in advance. It's just one of those sort of things that happens. But with all of those factors combined, it was only like about a year after that my wife, in retrospect, realized she's like, you know what? I think that was not normal. I think that was postpartum depression, and the more that she looked into that, and there was like kind of cross-checking notes, and she's a diary keeper. She's like, yeah, no, that's definitely what was going on there because she was having all these sort of like ideations around whether I was going to leave the family or whether she needed to leave the family, and all of that, like just like crazy stuff of like, oh, they'd be better off without me, like as if that was the case. But it was just a really really tough season. I like to think if I had heard this conversation beforehand, I would have had the awareness. Like I think it was probably for me the key thing to know was um, this is something that you know you don't just get like a diagnosis, right? Like as silly as that sounds, it's not like, oh yes, and here you go, like here's your baby and here's your certificate of postpartum depression. This is something that crops up little by little, or in ways that, and I think because it's especially with that example, it's tethered to this massive life change. You've got a newborn, um, whatever else is going on. It's easy to think, well, because this huge thing just changed, maybe this is just the normal for this season, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, change involves change, right? Um, and so just that little extra bit of awareness, I think, would have would have helped, and probably a little bit of additional education around what that even looks like. And so, more people having more conversations and sharing experiences. And I think, especially as a husband and a dad, um, the way that is shared um, to men is probably not generally as intimate, or it's not generally like spoken about in as much detail and nuance, so that we would be able to maybe pick up and see the signs. Again, I did very much surprise myself with how obtuse I was during that season. And I think in terms of, you asked about signs, of what that looked like. Um, I think just being aware of the thing underneath the thing, because my wife was saying, things which were indicating that she was struggling, and I was thinking, yeah, like of course you're struggling. Like this was the other thing. Our firstborn was such a good sleeper. He, as a baby, liked me, and so allowed me to help overnight and all that sort of stuff. We thought we knew what we were doing. My wife didn't have postpartum depression with our firstborn, so we kind of thought that we knew the playbook. We're coming in as like seasoned parents, right? It's our second rodeo. We know what we're doing. We're fine. Um, and things can be different, and when those things are different, sometimes the thing underneath the symptom or the request or whatever, like when my wife was saying certain things about, um, just like picking up the load around the house, of that was different as well, because she had a C-section with our second, and so she was able to do a lot less. And I am not particularly strong on that front, and our standards differ. So I am more willing to, for example, let the dishes go a little bit longer before actually getting that sorted, and kind of like allowing it to amass into this big task, and then dealing with it. Whereas all of those little things that were not being picked up to that same standard that she would have held, was really like adding to her stress of the environment. And I just didn't have the awareness around that, of it's not just about I will get to it. It's actually, I need to be getting to this sooner, because the environment on top of everything else is contributing to my wife's stress. So just things like that.
Living with ADHD means cleaning and organizing can feel impossible, but it doesn't have to. My book, Living with ADHD Cleaning and Organizing, is built for real life with step by step systems, ADHD friendly routines, and realistic hacks. It helps you create calm in your space without the overwhelm. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Whether you're a busy mom, busy parent, student, or professional, this book will help you reset your home and your mind. Great. So that's what I was going to ask next, is what can expectant fathers and partners, what would you say to them
Mm.
about postpartum, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do a bit of research and all that sort of thing, just to, be aware of that as a possibility. You can't really research every possibility. Like, there's so many things that can go wrong, um, or happen in the whole process between, pregnancy and childbirth and then childhood, and that never really stops, right? Kids are, oh, they're a stressor for sure, right? There's so many things that can go wrong, and you can't be like really onto and aware of all of them at the same level. But just a bit of research in it. Another thing, in our local area, there's actually two specifically organized dads groups where they do like meetups, and they go for coffee, and they do like a walk thing where they'll just get a bunch of dads to go down there with their kids in the prams and have a walk along the river and that sort of stuff.
Yes,
Um,
in a community.
yeah, so I think that kind of thing, if you can get a part of anything that sounds similar to that, that's really helpful because you're going to then be able to have some of those very, dad centric conversations. And, if you've got a group of five dads talking about dad stuff, statistically, one of them has been through something similar where their wife had postpartum depression, or insert other struggle that you might be likely to face, and it just brings a bit of awareness around some of the more common things as well of like what to look out for.
Mhm. Thank you for that advice. And I want to touch back on something that you said. You noticed that maybe your wife needed you to attend to the dishes sooner than you normally would. Um, how has that experience dealing with postpartum changed the way that you support your wife today?
Yeah, I think that awareness, it's still there. um that difference in standards, because it's for me, what that looks like is it's a difference in my internal environment is what will stress me out. I need things to be organized inside my head. Whereas for my wife, it starts with the external environment before the internal environment can get sorted out, right? So that's just we are, opposites attract, right? We kind of just approach things very differently from that. So I am by default, still going to be the one to let things go longer, because that's my default way of being. But just bringing awareness to that, and I try I try and listen more when my wife says those things, and to just be like, okay, like this is not, it's not just about the dishes or whatever it is. It's, if I try and recontextualize that for myself, and I imagine what that looks like with my internal landscape, and if I'm thinking about these unresolved plans or issues or concerns or whatever, and I haven't had a chance to sit down with a pen and paper and just get my ideas out and sorted, and what that feels like, I can kind of then understand a little bit more from her lens of what the impact actually is. Whereas for me, I'm just like happy to walk past and go, oh, like, yeah, dishes, whatever. Also, we are in a better position now in terms of like my whole thing with regards to the business side of things is that your business should serve your family, not the other way around, right? Our family, at one point, was in servitude to our business, and I see a lot of people, are struggling with that. We start a business for the idea of it's going to allow me to do this, that, or the other, or I'm not going to have to answer to a boss or whatever. And then all of a sudden, it turns into this monster, and it's calling the shots, and we are at the beck and call of our business. Um, so we're in a much better spot with that now, and we actually, also have, some regular like help around the house as a result of that, which, I know is something that not everyone can afford, and that's one of the things that makes us a lucky family. But I bring that up, and I think that's important to consider for the sake of, well, sort of twofold. One, what would it look like if you could, is one thing. Like, it's, I think the permission to dream is a big part of that. Just realizing that that's an option, is helpful. And the other part of it is, okay, well, what else can we have? Because we don't really have very good, like family support at the moment. So some people have more of that kind of help, but it's like, what does it look like if uh, we were to use our time when, say, for example, the kids are with their grandparents or whatever. What if we were to use that time in this way? Or what if that was like the time specifically to focus on, whether it's like connecting as a couple or whether it's getting on top of the landscape of the house and those chores and things and reducing stress that way. Um, I think just in bringing intentionality about when these kinds of things happen can be really helpful as well.
Awesome. Let's talk. I love that. I'm dreaming big. I would love
Yeah,
to hire help. So that's my dreaming big, taking off. What is,
just quickly on the dreaming big thing. What Because I think this is an interesting one, right? Because it's sort of it feels like a bit of a touchy subject in some sense, right? But I think when you say that, like I'm glad to hear you say that in the way that you've said it. And I think that all of your listeners would be as well. But sometimes when we say it to ourselves, that's when we have the most resistance around it. Like we question whether we should be dreaming big, whether we're allowed to dream big, or whether, you know what I mean. So we kind of can sort of suffocate our own dreams with the pillow a little bit because we think that for whatever reason we're not allowed to have it. When we would look at somebody else, we'd hear somebody else say that, and we'd be like, yeah, like you totally deserve it. Like you're in the trenches and you're crushing it, and you deserve extra help. So I think that sometimes it's helpful to swap out the person that we're talking about. If that resonates with you, think about how you would feel if, say, for example, if it was your daughter that had that mental resistance, that she was like in your situation, and she was like, oh yeah, I'm going to dream big, and I'd like to, get have like a house manager or something, and then, but she was like, no, I don't deserve that, or all of those kinds of things. The self talk would be probably very different for a lot of people, between whether it was their son or daughter that they were thinking of versus themselves. And so I think that's a good way to bring awareness to that too.
thank you. That is good. That is important. Don't suffocate your dreams or your
Yeah.
thoughts, your positive thoughts. Suffocate the bad thoughts. All right. Talking more about your business. What are some mistakes, like the biggest mistakes parents make when their sorry, let's try that again. What are the biggest mistakes parents make when their business begins taking time away from their family?
Yeah, good question. I think there's so many from that question. I think probably one of the biggest ones on the business front, which can be a real struggle, is a lot of businesses. I would say most businesses in the cleaning space are not priced correctly, and so what that leads to is when there are stresses and struggles, we try to work harder through a problem. But if I'll use the extreme version of this example, if your business is operating at a loss, and you add more work and you work harder, all you are doing is lossing harder. You're lossing faster if every job is actually a loss. And the reason I use that example, not only because it's relatively common, is because this is probably similar to the postpartum thing where you would think you would notice. You would think that you would notice that your business was making a loss instead of a profit, but it's actually a lot sneakier than that, and you would not necessarily know unless you were like on top of the numbers.
Mm.
And I mean, that's, it's a perfect storm, because if you're the type of person that was going to be on top of the numbers, then your business probably would be priced more correctly. So this is a blind spot, I think, for a lot of people. A lot of people have hangups around, they're like, I'm not good at math, and that's not my, there's, it's weird because the maths that we have to do for business, not only is it like relatively simple,
Mhm.
but also I remember when I was at school, they used to say, "Oh, you can't use a calculator for the test because you won't have a calculator in your daily life." And now I'm just like, dude, I have a calculator for English now. Like I could AI the English exam at this point. So yes, I do have a calculator. In fact, I have very competent calculators. And so it's really it's not as big of an issue as it might feel, but people have a lot of resistance around checking the numbers. There can also be a lot of emotion attached to that, and not wanting to maybe know what they actually say, and all of those sorts of things. But it's so important to not take that for granted and assume that you are actually winning, because otherwise, when you try and fix the problem by working harder, you're going to burn out, and all the while you're not actually digging out of the hole. You're digging in the wrong direction.
Right. And all of this great advice led you to create the course that you've created?
Yeah, so I run a like sort of quick fire. It's a 5 day, 45 minutes a day, one-on-one sessions. I call it the Freedom and Profit Quest, and it's really like an extension of a lot of the things that we've talked about. One of the first things we talk about on day one is the freedom to dream, because and that's the reason I wanted to kind of underline that point, is that I've noticed in having these conversations with a lot of parents running cleaning businesses that we tend to stifle our dreams. Like if I ask somebody, "Oh, what would you like? Like, what do you want your business to do for your family?" They tend to immediately put qualifiers on that, and they'll say, "Oh, like I'd like it to do this, but obviously, like let's be realistic now." And it's like, well, hold on, I didn't ask you to be realistic. I'm literally just wondering what you want. Like let's just talk about it, right? Like, have a conversation around it. Um, so just if we can't say what we would like, how are we going to build what we would like? And so that's kind of where we start, is figuring out what we would like the destination to be. Days 2, 3, and 4 is about bridging the gap between where we are in that destination, and then the fifth day is like kind of tying it all together and embedding that plan so that it's not just like a thing that we thought about and wrote down once. It's like, how are we actually carrying that forward, and what are we doing? So yeah, that's the Freedom and Profit Quest. I'm sure we'll probably chuck a link in the description, all that kind of stuff. It costs $11.97, but I will make a coupon code. We'll call it, like, I don't know, we'll call it Mummy Pod, right? Will be the coupon code. And I'll do like 5 of those completely for free, so like $0 cost. And yeah, just sort of walk through the stages and the steps, and you'll get massive clarity, momentum, and value from that.
Wow, thank you so much. That's awesome.
No, I love it.
Thank
I love having these conversations uh, with parents who are really they're trying to build something for their
Yeah.
family, and it's yeah, it's great to see. It's great to see the progress.
So who would be the best fit for your services, and how can our listeners find you and work with you?
Yeah, so I mean, best fit is like, parents running cleaning businesses, right? That's the general gist. But I actually do work with um, outside of that specific line as well. So if you're running a different kind of business and you want to have a chat, um, reach out, and then we can see if it will be a good fit, and see if it will make sense to, maybe run that same freedom and profit quest with that business in mind. Um, Also, like the parent side of it is not like 100% a hard prerequisite. That's who all of my messaging is to, because that's where my passion around all of this stuff lies. Like, to me, again, it's about ensuring that your business is serving your family, not the other way around. And to me, the heart and soul of that is the kids. It's like, how are we? And I see so much struggle in this space of people trying really hard to build a thing at the expense of their family. It's like that we're trying to build for our family, but we're sacrificing our family along the way. And for the sake of a few little tweaks, maybe we can get some extra time back from what we're doing, or maybe we can get some extra profit from what we're doing, and make that so much easier, have a bit more breathing room, all of that kind of stuff. And in terms of where to find me, um, the sign up page for the Freedom and Profit Quest, it's a little bit of a long one. So it's warplan.au/coffees and krakens. Bit of a weird URL, but there is a reason for that. So yeah, coffees and krakens is the handle on that
Myself.
one.
Amazing. I will put all of your information in our show notes. And one more time, you offered our guest for 5 of our guests a free
Freedom and Profit Quest with the code MummyPod at checkout of that page. Yeah.
Thank you. And the code is MommyPod. You can use at the checkout. Amazing. Please connect with Mark if you're a parent running a cleaning business or any other service business. Or should I say any other business? Because it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, just jump in. We also have there's also a Facebook group that you can join called Parents Growing Cleaning Businesses. And again, it's cleaning centric, but if you're adjacent to that, if it's a gardening business or whatever, like it's the thing that we do is different, but everything underlying that and the purpose around why you're if you're listening to this and resonating with this, the purpose around why you're building is going to be very family centric. Mm-hmm. So that's the real meat and potatoes of what's holding this whole thing together, is that more than the unity around cleaning specifically. But yeah, that's just because that's my background, if you will.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Mark. Thank you for this conversation. It reminds us that children just need to be seen and that you can give them a beautiful childhood just by giving them time, and that they need safety and connection, consistency, and moments that tell them that you belong. For single parents, intentional parenting does not mean adding more to your already full plate. It might be as simple as a handshake before school or pancakes on Saturdays, a 5-minute bedtime check-in, or a song you always sing in the car. Small moments repeated with love become family culture. Mark, thank you so much for being honest about the lessons you learned during your wife's postpartum experience, and for reminding us that providing for a family and being emotionally present with them are very important.
Thanks very much for having me on. It's been great.
Thank you. So yeah, please connect with Mark if you're running a business and you need help creating more time, more profit, and more breathing room. And if this conversation encouraged you, please listen, download, and share this episode with another parent. We are working towards 1,000 downloads in 30 days, everyone. And every single listen helps the Mommy Pod continue providing free, honest conversations for parents. Because here at the Mommy Pod, we bend, but we don't break. Before we go, I just want to say thank you. The Mommy Pod is built in the middle of real life. Work, kids, laundry, rebuilding, and dreaming. And every time you listen, share, or support what we create here, it truly matters. If this episode spoke to you, one of the best ways to keep this podcast going is by supporting our Mommy Pod products. From our children's books and activity books to our calming sprays and digital downloads designed for moms and parents and families. Everything you purchase goes directly back into keeping the show alive. And if you can't purchase right now, sharing this episode with another parent means just as much. Thank you for being here.